Hi guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to another episode of Rift Amps. Marshall, 20 watt Marshall. So do you remember we measured the bias on the amplifier with the stock 120 ohm resistor, cathode resistor, and we calculated a plate dissipation, a total dissipation, plate and screen combined, of 18.22 watts, 151%. Far too hot. We then used a bit of Ohm's law to work out that to get it closer to where we need to be, we need a cathode resistor of around 185 ohms. Well, the nearest E12 value is 180. So I fitted a 180 ohm resistor. I tested that with the old worn out valves. Our anode to cathode voltage has increased by 10 volts on each side. The voltage drop across the resistor has increased by 1.6 volts up to 14. The resistor actually measures 179 ohms. Okay. So rather than having 51.6 milliamps through each valve, it's now dropped to 39.1. So we've definitely cooled the bias off. We're now down from 18.22 watts to 14.19, which is 118%. So that's with the old one-out valves. I've just fitted the new valves, with the same resistor. Things have warmed up ever so slightly. We're up to 40 milliamps now, and at 119.8% maximum. So it's still biased a little bit hot. Now, ideally I want that down. I'm allowed 12 watts on the anode and 2 watts on the screen, so a total of 14. So we are close-ish. Now I've got it running on the bench, and that's at maximum. That's the sine wave, which is putting out 12 watts. Well, 12 volts. 12 volts into an 8 ohm load gives us 18 watts, which is about where I would expect this amplifier to be. To get it to 20 watts, we need probably 12.7 volts or something like that. So we're close enough. Close enough. Now, my concern, to be honest with you, is that this valve does not have any screen grid resistors fitted. Which means when you're overdriving this amplifier, those screens are most likely over dissipating. There's nothing there at all. And if we want to make these valves last, one, we've got to cool the bias down, but two, we need to fit some screen grid resistors. Is it going to change the tone? Ever so slightly, but not to the point where, unless you were doing proper A/B testing next to each other, side by side, you wouldn't know there's a change. But it's going to make the amplifier run a lot cooler and a lot safer and make the valves last longer. Now, I want to do that first, then for fun I'm going to increase the cathode resistor to 220 ohms, the next E12 value up, and see what that does to the overall bias of this amplifier. My other concern is that as it currently stands, we are starting to get a tiny bit of crossover distortion. So actually this amplifier is probably on the limit of where it needs to be bias wise. Yes, we're over the manufacturer's recommendations, but this is just at the point where the amplifier is happy and is producing the audio signal that we want. So maybe 180 ohms is correct. Anyway, so I'm going to add some what am I trying to say? I'm going to add some screen resistors. Only 100 ohms or something each side. It's just so when you're overdriving the amplifier, there's a little bit of current protection for those screen grids. So just wanted to take a quick couple of minutes just to talk about our lead time at the moment. I know some people have been waiting a long time for amplifiers, and it is something that I am aware of. Basically, in the UK, post-COVID and Brexit, our supply chain has been absolutely horrendous. Sometimes there's things available on the shelf when you go to a supplier to order it, and other times you go and they go, no, we're back ordered for however long that is, and so you just don't know. The situation is improving, and now there's only really one of our amplifier models which is affected by supply chain issues, which is the Ainsley Lister Signature. Unfortunately, that is our most popular model, and we've got quite a few on the order book. So I can only build those as quickly as I can get the parts in. That's the long and short of it. If I can get the bits in quicker, I'd get them out the door quicker. It's just the way it is at the moment. I really hope this doesn't go on for much longer, because it's not fair on the customers, but that's the situation. Regarding every other amplifier that we build, all the other models, our lead time is a lot shorter. Or I've managed to bring that down to a more reasonable time frame. So realistically, you're talking about 18 to 20 weeks for one of our normal models, and then unfortunately with the Ainsley Lister Signature, it's open-ended. So what I am saying to people when they call or email to order one is I have to say I don't know how long it will be before I can deliver that to you, because there's so many unanswered questions and so many things that have to fall into place to not just get that build delivered, but all the ones in front of it. So it is a bit of a sticky situation, but yeah, apart from that, all the other amplifiers, we're starting to get things out in a reasonable time frame again. Now I can get all the parts, which is hopefully a good sign that things are improving. The annoying thing is that, you know, some of other amp builders that I speak to who work in, you know, North America, they're not having these issues. You know, they can get bits, even custom made bits like custom wound transformers, they can get in super quick time frames, but over here it's just not possible. And things are getting very expensive, so I'm trying my best not to put prices up, because I really don't want to, because I think the prices on my amps are about right now. But yeah, there we go. I just wanted to explain the situation to everybody, know that you know, I am aware, I don't like it. I am working so hard to get all the amplifiers built and out the door, but you know, sometimes when you can't get bits, you can't get bits, and that's frustrating. So I want to thank everyone who is being patient with me on the Ainsley Lister amplifiers. You will get them, and they will sound awesome. Okay, so screen grid resistors added, just 100 ohms, easy enough to do, and that's brought our crossover distortion down, and we're still putting out 18 watts, so I'm really happy with that. If we cool the bias any further, we're going to get more crossover distortion, and then the amp's not performing. The valves are putting out, they're pretty much running as hard as they can, or as hard as the manufacturer recommends, but now we've got some protection in place, and we're not running, well, they were running at 150%, now they're running at 100%. So yeah, we'll just give it a soak test, and then I can carry on with the service and go through the usual stuff. But yeah, I think this amplifier is much happier and is now done. Okay, so the Hawker build is now on the bench. I fired it up, I've given it a play test, put it through the oscilloscope, see what it's doing, see how it's performing. It's doing really well, actually. It looks great, it sounds great, and I will try and get you some sound samples. The bias is a bit off, so we've gone too high value on the cathode bias resistors, so I need to go down to the next size. These are 470 ohm. Next size down is 390, and then 330, so it's going to be either one of those two values, which unfortunately I thought I had on the shelf, but I don't, so I've had to order those in, which is frustrating, because you know, I always have power resistors in the low hundreds in stock, but obviously not this time. So, but yeah, here's the build. You can see what it looks like. So everything works as it should. I think one of the pots is a bit dirty, so some dirt's got in there, so I'm going to clean that up. And if it doesn't clean up, then we'll just swap it out for a new one. But apart from that, it's working well. The push-pull resistor is dropping about 40 volts, which is perfect, which is exactly where I want it. But we'll do all the final measurements and tests once I've got the output stage biased where I want it. But yeah, you can see the rest of the build. It looks great. Actually really happy with that. So yeah, once those are done, we can get that sorted, and then fully burnt in, soak tested. And then what else was I going to do? Then we're just waiting on the cabinets. Yeah, that's right. So but face plates are here, and what else? I've got to order the speaker as well. So yeah, that's the Hawker build. So really happy with progress on that. I'm just moving back onto this PR6 build, the one you've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. Need to finish off the input wiring, and then need to do the heaters and mains wiring as well. What I've done is I've left the output transformer anode wires long, just in case once I fire this up it's out of phase, so I need to swap those over. So those will be tidied up further down the line once we've tested the amplifier. But yeah, that's the PR6 black panel build that I'm just going to get finished off. HT fuse holder. This one's got the mic control, hasn't it? I think. Yes, it has. Yeah, mic control. So that's that. And then what else have I got to do? Well, I've still got this. Excuse me, a low power Americana build to crack on with, and of course I've got the Ainsley builds as well. So yeah, lots to do. Thank you very much for watching. I know it's only a short one this time. I'm trying to do shorter but more frequent videos, because you know the last couple of videos have been getting on for quite long, and I'm sure most of you don't want to sit through half an hour of me waffling on. You'd rather have 3 10-minute videos than one 30-minute video. So that's what I'm going to be trying to be doing. So just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.